Ever feel like, you're just stuck waiting through all these what ifs?
Oh, totally.
It's like, ugh, uncertainty at its finest.
Mm.
But that's what we're diving into today. Not just how to survive it, but how to actually use it,
Yeah.
to thrive.
It's funny, right? Because our brains, they crave control,
Yeah.
predictability. It's almost like we're wired for it. But the funny thing is, accepting uncertainty, that's often the key. Like, that's what unlocks this calmer, more empowered version of ourselves.
And this video we're diving into, it doesn't mess around, it kicks off, and it's like, boom, uncertainty is just a fact of life. Get used to it.
Right. No sugarcoating there.
But then it gets really interesting. Like, it actually gives us tools to deal with it, to navigate those, those choppy waters.
Yeah. And what's so fascinating is how much of this is, like, hardwired into us. There was this 2017 study, and they found our brains are literally wired to look for patterns. They crave that feeling of knowing what's next, and when it's not there,
Oh, tell me about it.
stress response goes haywire.
That fight or flight feeling.
Exactly.
When it's a big decision or things just feel out of control, it's like,
It's in your biology.
it's not just me overthinking. It's like my body working against me.
It is. But here's the thing, and this is the empowering part. Knowing that, that's huge. Because now we can start to look at uncertainty differently. It's not about, like, pretending it doesn't exist.
Because let's be real, that's not happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more about how do we react when it shows up, which, let's be honest, it always does.
Always. Which leads us to, I think, like one of the most practical takeaways. Focus on what you can control.
Yes.
Instead of this whole like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, okay, but right here, right now, what can I actually do something about?
And there's research on this. A 2019 study, they found that people who focus on what they can control, they're just generally happier. They have more well-being, even when things are uncertain.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's like that saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You know the one.
Oh, absolutely. Classic.
It's about recognizing where our energy is best spent. Not on things we can't do anything about, but the stuff we actually have some influence over.
And you know what? Often the things we can control, they're our reactions. How we take care of ourselves, our attitude, like that's powerful stuff.
So it's less about freaking out about all the what ifs and more like, okay, what's one small step I can take right now?
Totally.
Suddenly feels a lot more doable. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that actually leads perfectly into this idea of what the video calls a flexibility mental.
So like being able to just roll with it.
Kind of, but it's more than that. It's about seeing change, uncertainty, not as a bad thing, but as a chance to problem solve.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
There was this study in 2020 from Edinburgh University, and they found that people who have this flexibility, they stress way less during uncertain times. They just adapt, they figure out solutions. It's amazing.
So instead of panicking, it's more like, this is interesting. How can I don't know, how can I work with this?
Exactly.
What can I learn?
It's a way more empowered way to be. You're not a victim. You're an active participant, even with uncertainty.
Which I love. But then there's this other part of me that's like, okay, that all sounds great. But uncertainty, it really messes with my head. Like the overthinking.
Oh, for sure.
It's real.
Tell me about it.
And the video talks about mindfulness for that.
Mindfulness is everything. It really is. Because it's about, instead of getting lost in the what ifs, the future tripping.
Ugh, the worst.
It's about being present. Right here, right now.
Like hitting the pause button on all those thoughts. Even if it's just for like 2 seconds.
Yes, exactly.
You find a little bit of calm in all of that, in all of the chaos. And the research actually backs this up, right? Like this actually works.
Oh, yeah. Big time. There's a 2014 study from Oxford, and they found that mindfulness, it can seriously help manage uncertainty and stress. It's like you're building this, mental muscle.
I like that.
To be present, to focus, instead of just, like, spiraling.
Which, I have to tell you, when I'm feeling super anxious about something, even just taking like 5 minutes to step away from my computer, go for a walk, pay attention to what I see, what I hear.
Yes.
It's amazing, like a total reset button.
It is. And you know what's so cool? This next point the video makes, it's like this total mind flip. Because instead of this whole uncertainty is bad, fear it thing.
Right, like that's usually my go-to.
They're like, what if it's actually good? What if it helps us grow?
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Think about it. When everything's predictable, when everything's comfortable, are we really pushing ourselves? Or are we just kind of, coasting?
100%.
Yeah.
It's like comfort zone all the way.
Right. But often it's when we're faced with uncertainty, when we have to navigate something new. That's when we like discover new stuff about
That's
ourselves.
so true. It's like, when I take on a new project at work, and it's totally out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
At first, I'm terrified. But then the sense of accomplishment, the new skills I learn, the confidence,
hmm
it's like worth it. And it even changes how I approach other things.
Exactly. And that's uncertainty as a catalyst for growth. Like it forces you to be resourceful, to think on your feet. It's
Like
amazing.
that feeling of, okay, game on, let's figure this out.
Yes.
Not, oh my gosh, I'm hiding from this.
Yes. And the more you do that, the less scary uncertainty becomes. Like each experience, it's like another tool in your resilience toolkit.
So we're not just handling it, we're like benefiting from it.
Yeah.
But how? How do we actually go from this place of, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed, to actually seeing it as a good thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The video talks about shifting your perspective. Like instead of, what if it goes wrong?
Because, let's be honest, my default setting,
So like, what if it goes right? Or even just, what can I learn no matter what?
it's like approaching it with curiosity instead of fear almost.
Yes, exactly. And another thing they talk about is experimenting.
So like actually stepping outside that comfort zone, trying new things, even if you don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
I'm into it.
And this doesn't mean like making huge life decisions every day. It can be small. Take a different route to work. Cook something new.
Reach out to someone new.
I like it. It's about building that uncertainty muscle. Slowly.
It's like that quote, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Right. So good. Because how often do we let that fear, that what if, hold us back from the things we really want?
So true. So it sounds like if we want to live a more fulfilling life, a more adventurous life, uncertainty, it's not optional, it's part of it.
It's essential, but it's also like, it's a journey. It's not this thing you just arrive at.
Totally. We're all going to have those moments of, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. But like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets. And having a good support system probably helps too.
100%. The video even mentions this. Like, the people we surround ourselves with, they can either make the uncertainty worse or they can be our biggest cheerleaders.
So we're talking like building a network of people who are all about that growth mindset.
Yes. People who are open-minded, adaptable, maybe even like a little adventurous. You want people who see uncertainty and they don't freak out, they get excited.
Because if everyone around you is freaking out, that's not exactly helping you stay calm.
Right. It's contagious. We feed off each other's energy. So imagine instead you're around people who just radiate resilience,
Okay, now that's the dream team right there.
who share their stories of uncertainty. That's inspiring.
It's like having a cheering section for your own life.
Exactly. And don't forget, talking about your own uncertainty, that helps too.
Oh, 100%.
Whether it's with a friend, a therapist, even just writing it down.
It's like getting it out of your head almost.
Yeah.
Makes it less scary.
Yes. Sometimes just acknowledging it, that's enough to take away some of its power.
This has been, I don't know, eye-opening. Like, we really looked at uncertainty in a whole new way.
Right. It's not this thing to be afraid of. It's just, it's part of life. And maybe even a good part.
The growth, the discovery, it's all on the other side of that.
It is.
And we even have tools now to not just cope with it, but to actually make it work for us.
That's the goal.
So, to everyone listening, I have a little challenge for you. What's one tiny step you can take today to feel even a little bit more in control, even if you don't have it all figured out? Maybe it's checking out that mindfulness app you are curious about. Maybe it's calling that friend who always knows how to make you laugh. Or even just thinking about all the times you've been through uncertainty before and you came out stronger on the other side. You've got this. Embrace the unknown. And remember, the best stuff, it's usually right outside that comfort zone.